Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Above the Bar podcast, where each week we belly up to the bar with a new guest, find out what they do, who they are, and what makes them great. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the Above the Bar podcast. It's your host, Sean. As you can tell, we're still on the road, finishing up things here. I'll be leaving Dallas today. I cannot wait to get back to the East Coast. But as you can hear, and we'll head back to our normal acoustics also, because this hotel room acoustics is driving me absolutely bonkers. It's like being in a cave. But we brought with us today a man who, one of Ohio's favorite sons, legend in Akron. He has bags of Timken roller bearings sitting around his house right now that he uses to work out with. He's wrote his own book. He's a fitness guru. He's going to tell us about how we can attach our mind and our body's health to make our financial health a little bit better. With that, I don't have my sound effects for you, Kyle. Like I said, I'm on the road right now, but we brought with us Mr. Kyle Nichols.
How are you, Sean?
I'll just clap for you because I don't have my sound effects. Normally we get clapped.
No problem. No problem. Glad to be here. I'm glad. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, brother. And I appreciate it. I know everybody's probably sitting there going, why is he doing this on a Thursday? I was supposed to get this in the morning on Thursday, but again, I'm traveling, so had to make some shift some things around. If the big time podcasters can do it, I can do it. I'll take control of this one here. But yeah, so we're hanging out with Kyle. We're going to get going here in just a moment. But as always, we got to get the bar open. We got to make things happen. So first things first, as we always talk about, sticker and a cause. If you've got something you support, something you believe in, some project, I don't care if it's another podcast, you wrote a book, you've got a sticker for it, reach out to me on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, even our email. It's all the Above the Bar podcast. That's at gmail.com. Let me know what it is. I'll tell you where to send it to. I'll give you my email address so that you can reach out. We'll get it on here. We'll read it free on the air. Also, we got to talk about our sponsor, Budget Blinds of East Greenbush. Are you looking for the perfect window covering for your home or business? Look no further than Budget Blinds of East Greenbush. Our team of experts is dedicated to helping you find the right blind, shades, shutters, or drapes to fit your unique style and budget. They offer a wide range of high-quality custom window coverings at an affordable price. Don't wait. Schedule your free in-home consultation today and transform your space with Budget Blinds of East Greenbush. And if you mention to them that you're there to belly up to the bar, they're going to give you a 10% discount on your entire order, not just on one product or something like that, but on your entire order. They're going to give you a 10% discount on that. And you know what, Kyle? I don't know if you know. Do you know what shutters are? Like people would go in their house and they have shutters.
Absolutely.
Did you know if you add shutters to your home, they're actually, because they're considered a permanent fixture, they actually add value to your home?
Yeah, well, not the ones I have on my home. They need to be.
You might want to call the Budget Blinds of Akron. Let them know. I actually know the guy who owns the one out of Columbus, so he might go that far out to Cleveland. Who knows?
If nothing else, they need to be painted. That's for sure. So
yeah, those inside shutters in your home will actually add value to your home, just for the simple fact of having them in there, because they're considered as a permanent fixture in your home.
Yeah.
So, well, we're going to get this thing going. So Kyle comes to us, as we said, from Akron, and I'll give him a little bit of a break. I mean, he's probably a Cleveland Browns fan. They've had a tough time up there with sports, a little bit of basketball success. They couldn't pick a quarterback.
Not last night. No basketball success last night.
Well, I didn't even see what happened last night's game. I didn't even see it.
Yeah, they lost. They lost. Season's over.
Yeah, see, my season just got better, though, for football. I'm a Ravens fan.
Oh, you're a Ravens fan. Okay.
They signed Lamar.
Did they re-sign him?
They signed Lamar Jackson for total deal $260 million with $185 million in guarantees for 5-year extension.
So that beats Jalen Hurts.
Yep, took Jalen Hurts out by $5 million.
Yeah,
and you keep in mind they just signed OBJ.
Yeah, right.
And there's serious talks that they're going to take DeAndre Hopkins.
That makes sense.
if they can sign if they can sign DeAndre Hopkins and sitting there with OBJ, plus you have God Anderson. I can't think of the tight end's name right now. It's escaping me. And their running game. A team that was built on defense is going to be, if they can hit on all gears, that's an offensive monster.
Yeah, we had some issues with OBJ here.
You know what?
He couldn't get on the same page with Baker, and
but who could? Baker's.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what? I haven't figured out what the deal is, and I know we're talking football right now, but I love football. I can't figure out why Cleveland can't keep a quarterback. Remember Brady Quinn?
Well, it's not that they can't keep him; they can't pick him, and as a result of not being able to pick him, they get rid of him. I mean, we could talk for 2 hours on this. Really, I mean, it's so yeah.
It's definitely one of those things. Like I always think back to the Brady Quinn era.
Oh yeah.
Like he was coming out of Notre Dame. He was going to be the second coming. He was another Peyton Manning.
Yep.
Is what they said.
Yep.
And that kid was garbage. And then who was the one from Texas?
Colt McCoy.
Colt McCoy. Yeah. There's another one.
Yeah, right.
Tim
Couch going back.
Oh, yeah, gosh, I forgot about Tim Couch.
Yeah, so part of it is I'm not sure it's all the players. I mean, they've had so much turnover with coaches and offensive coordinators and everything else. I mean, so yeah, they've if you're a Ravens fan, Browns, Ravens, I mean, so.
Well, I actually knew Pettit, the old Coach Pettit.
Oh, okay.
He was a high school football coach at North Penn High School when I was in the Marine Corps recruiting for the Marine Corps. He was their high school football coach.
Oh, okay.
So I mean that guy worked his way up the ranks, and he was actually the Ravens AV coach, or audiovisual guy, before he became the defensive line coach, and ultimately got an opportunity to coach the Browns. Right. That guy worked his way. Like he was a true work my way up quarterback. There was no like, hey, I was a college, this, that, and then I just kind of jumped over into it. That guy came from high school and worked his way up.
Right.
And couldn't get those guys to work.
Yeah.
So, but I digress. We're really here to talk about you and so you're in the Akron area. See if I got everything correct. Maybe if I mess something up here, you explain. You're in the Akron area. You were a personal trainer?
I was a trainer for the better part of 2 decades.
Okay.
Yeah.
Had some personal things happen, hit rock bottom for yourself, and kind of, as a lot of people say, when you hit rock bottom, you can see yourself a heck of a lot better, and you could see you. And from there comes the book, Mind, Body, Money. And you've also got your website, and that website is Kyle, KYLE Nichol, NICHOL.com. So kind of walk me through that initial story. You said it, decades of personal training to now you're a writer. You don't do that. Do you still do the personal training at all anymore?
I did it up until a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So yeah, and I've got the personal training became kind of a side gig for me later on, because I had always had a full-time job. I've been in sales, advertising sales most of
really?
my life, with the exception of that period that I talk about in the book where I opened those 2 brick and mortar personal training studios in the Cleveland area. So that was like a little, kind of, be your own boss, entrepreneur type thing for about 5 years. So
you did that, but talk to me about, you hear people say all the time, "Oh, I've hit rock bottom. I found the bottom of my life." What did that mean for you?
Yeah. So, without, I'll try to kind of get through it as fast as we can without making
No,
it
you
too,
got time.
yeah,
Like,
without making it too boring. But for me, I come from a family that's got you know uh, mental illness and depression kind of runs through our family. So I graduated from college, and this was back early early 90s.
okay.
Graduated from college, got a job right out of college. And I at that point, everything was kind of lining up. I mean, during my college years, I did more than my fair share of things that I probably should not have been doing. And was lucky I actually made it out of my first week in college.
Oh,
That's
really?
and that's not an exaggeration. So, and I
Really?
tell that story in the book. But so at any rate, I did everything I possibly could not to graduate from college. But I ended up graduating. Got a job in the major that I chose was public relations. Got a job in that field right out of college. It was about 4 years into that job, and one morning, I'm thinking to myself, this is great. Everything's lining up. I mean, I got out of college with a degree, got this great job. Everything's lining up well, and I'm about two and a half, 3 years into that job, and got laid off. So that was really a blow, to my ego, to be quite honest. I had kind of, looking back, I'd kind of linked my whole identity, my whole self-image to that job. Right here, I am, young, out of college. I wasn't making a lot of money. I mean, back then, I was like making 30 grand a year, but I was on
Early
my,
90s, that's good money.
well, yeah, I mean, I was on my own. You had my own place, and everything else. Everything was lining up, and then boom, it was all gone, and it really sent me into a bit of a funk, and that funk became really sort of just a really downward spiral into depression and and just, yeah, just not a good period. But fortunately, was able to work my way out of that. So from a mental illness standpoint, that runs in my family. I thought I was going to really be the only one to kind of escape that. My brother and my mom, and it didn't happen. So that experience taught me a lot. It really did. And in fact, I can look back at that experience, and what was truly some terrifying days and nights in my apartment, I can look back and say, you know what? I'm really glad I went through that.
And when you say terrifying, not to try to pick at scabs or nothing, what
Yeah.
does that mean for you?
Yeah. Just, the way, what was happening with my brain chemistry and everything, it was just bringing up, the way the psychiatrist kind of explained it to me was, this mental illness, it was always in you, because you were kind of genetically predisposed to it. And, your job loss is really the thing that triggered it and brought it out. But, it just took me to some really dark places, not able to sleep, nightmares, thinking to myself, what do I even have to live for?
Oh, you had went to that dark of a place.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, now I'm looking back, right? I look back in hindsight, I'm like, here I was, mid mid 20s, mid to late 20s, And, again, I had tied my whole identity to that job. And so, it just brought up some things that I probably had really kind of pushed down and suppressed, some things about myself that I had kind of buried, um, that honestly needed to come out. I wish they didn't come out in that sort of
Right.
frightening of a manner, in terms of, suicidal thoughts and, what is there to live for? I don't want to go outside. I'm afraid to go outside. I can't,
Well, you had even gone to an agoraphobia level.
oh yeah, it was just, there was no reason to go outside. I wanted to stay in, thought everybody was looking at me when I go outside, and
Because
just,
you thought it was all because you had lost your job that people
yeah,
were questioning.
right.
So now were you doing the personal trainer side at that point?
Not at that point. That came like later in my 20s. I had always, the personal training had all started really, I've always had a passion for health and fitness, played pretty much every sport back in middle school and high school. So I was really athletic, really active. Um, you know, um, so that was really a big part of my life. So the personal training kind of started from there. I had done some 4 or 5 drug-free bodybuilding shows, which were kind of,
Really?
yeah, were kind of an outlet for me to just take this sort of gym mentality that I was obsessed with, and you know get up on stage
A banana hammock
in a banana hammock and
and oil yourself up next to other men
yeah,
with
so
spray
yeah.
tans on. I mean, just add to it. I mean,
Yeah. So, it was just, for me, when I do something, I'm all in, and I'm
how do you
just,
think that's part of your when you talk about mental health? I hear that often. I've talked to a lot of people that have had issues that part of their type of mental health is they get in their funk and they're all into their funk. Their
yeah,
funk is everything. It's all about them. And when they pull out of it, whatever they pull out to focus on, it is everything. It is the whole world. Everything is an absolute hyper focus
oh, yeah.
to push. Is that the way you feel like you
Oh, yeah.
were?
Yeah, without question. I mean, that's honestly how I kind of approach everything. And, for better or for worse, it's just how I'm wired. I just, if I'm going to do something, I guess it's a fear. It's kind of a fear of failure and a fear of kind of disappointing myself and everything else. So, and believe me, you know, I've probably failed more in my life than I've, succeeded. So, but
That's
that's
a
kind
good
of
thing.
that's the mentality that I go about things with. So yeah. So the depression, there was that. So I got to the point in my I had moved out of that public relations career and moved into advertising sales, and I've really been in that realm, in that career, most of my professional life. With the exception, like I said, of a period 2008 to about 2012, 2013, where I took that sort of personal training and that passion for health and fitness, and I opened up a private personal training studio in a Cleveland suburb. A couple years later, I opened up another one, and if you were to tell me that you you're going to open up a brick and mortar personal training studio on January 4th of 2008, I'd tell you were completely nuts.
Especially in the middle. I mean, that's the
Yeah,
crash is going
yeah,
on. The world is,
right,
we're everybody thought, oh, it's another Great Depression. The world's
right,
coming to an end.
right. But
So here you are opening a business during that time.
yeah, and that's kind of how I do things. I just I look back and I'm like, you've made some kind of wacky decisions in your life, but it is what it is. But at any rate, that first training studio that I opened, we did great. Right away, we really did well. Things were going great. Decided to open up a second location. That one did not go well. So, I had one that was doing okay. I had another one that just I could not get going to the same degree that I had the first one going. Was kind of accumulate, and at this point, I had a staff of probably total of 10.
So good size. You definitely had staff. It wasn't like it
No.
was you and one other
Oh, yeah.
person.
No. I had like 8 to 10 trainers working for me because the one facility was full. I mean, we just had no appointments. We were totally booked. The other one, like I said, not nearly as well. But fast forward to about 2011, 2012. Is just, the stress of owning these two businesses was just really starting to wear on me. In 2011, my ex-wife filed for divorce, so that was kind of going. And
that can be, and that's one of those funks that I've lived through. I understand definitely what you mean there.
yeah, so and I've got, at that point I had 2 young kids, and so it was just, and I'm trying to manage these two businesses, and I was just really kind of swimming in business debt. And I, as much as I did not want to file for bankruptcy, because I kind of equated bankruptcy with failure.
Right.
To me, that meant I was just a utter failure declaring bankruptcy. Only losers who can't manage their money file for bankruptcy. That was my mind.
It was in your head.
Right. So, but, filed for bankruptcy. And again, not unlike that, the depression, you take, and you can probably relate to this. Maybe some of your listeners can relate to it. The older you get, you look back and you're able to kind of extract positive things out of really negative situations.
100%.
Right. So that bankruptcy, and again, that bankruptcy was not related in any way, shape, or form to my personal finances. It was all business debt. But what it did was it really made me take a hard look at my personal finances and what I was doing with my own money. And from that point on, I just became obsessed with personal finance, obsessed with budgeting, helping other people budget. So a lot of good things came from that bankruptcy and managing those two businesses. It really did. So
now is that where the birth of the book that you have, Mind, Body, Money? That's the birth of the book. Is that now? You say something interesting. Talking about the depression, owning businesses, going through a bankruptcy. How do people react when you say, "Hey, yeah, man, I wrote a book on mental health, physical health, and financial health. Oh, and by the way, I've gone through these things at the bottom end of it." How do people react to that?
Well, look, I think I had always thought about writing a book, but everybody thinks about writing a book, right? Or maybe not everybody, but a lot of people do. And with the pandemic and everything, everybody's hunkered down, everybody's hunkered down in their house, I'm thinking, okay, if you're going to write a book,
right now,
now's the
now's
time to
the
write a book.
time.
So, I thought to myself, I asked myself a couple questions. What do I know? What do I feel like I'm an expert in? And how can I help people? Those were the questions that I asked myself. And, I've dealt with mental illness. I've dealt with thoughts of just killing myself.
Ending it, yeah.
I've dealt with bankruptcy. And here's this other component where I've devoted my entire life pretty much to health and fitness. Those are the three things that I know. And those are the three things that I feel like I can help people with. So I set out to write the book about, not only my personal experiences, and this is the thing that's interesting about the book and about the whole personal training situation. Our clients at these studios, we were not your typical Planet Fitness where you walk in and you pay, what is it, $14.99 or
yeah,
$19?
whatever it is. Yeah,
Right.
they're very inexpensive, and then they give you pizza. That's what's so great about it.
I have no idea what they do. So
it's
yeah,
the worst.
so my facilities were, for high-end clientele. I mean, you weren't getting into one of my studios for anything less than $1,000.
And now, was that a month? Was that a?
We sold different training packages,
Okay.
different numbers of training sessions in them. So every time somebody would come in to the studio, they were working either with me or one of my trainers, just the two of them.
Any pro athletes? I gotta ask. Anyone at that level?
No pro athletes. We were pretty much working with general population, as it's referred to in personal training circles. But we worked with, my gosh, I mean, such a diverse, group of people. It's just really, really incredible. Ages, young kids, all the way up to
Oh, really?
folks who are in their 70s and 80s, and but the one common denominator was, these folks had money to be able to afford our services. So, but the point I was getting at was when somebody would call us and schedule a consultation, 9 times out of 10, it was me doing the consultation. There were times where I'd have my manager who was running my studio. He would do consultation as well. But one of the fascinating parts of this was when somebody would come, when I opened that first location, I'm thinking people are going to come in and all they're going to want to do is talk about, losing weight, getting stronger, building muscle, right? Physical.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. Well, they'd be sitting in, I had a little office in the studio, and they'd come in and they'd start talking about other things, about, how their physical issues were impacting, their personal lives. And I get into that a little bit in the book. So long story short, these people were not, and I'm thinking to myself, when somebody would bring up maybe a personal issue, early on, I was sitting in the office, right across from them, thinking to myself, I'm just a trainer. I mean, you're telling me about, how your weight is affecting your sex life. And I'm thinking, I don't.
They're really opening up to you at that point.
Right. And, but that was that relationship, that trainer-client relationship. And the more you worked with somebody and the more they came into the studio, the more comfortable they would get. And, I could write a whole book. I should probably call it like the personal trainer diaries or something like that, because some of the stories were just crazy. And So my point is, I took my own experiences, right, with the mental illness, the bankruptcy, and my own knowledge and my experience training clients, and I combined that. The thing that really told me that this was a viable idea for a book was what I was hearing from these clients. I mean, they were not only having physical issues, but they were having emotional issues, mental issues. Sometimes they were having professional issues. So, it all kind of
Work
went,
together.
yeah. So the longer I did it and the longer I owned those businesses and the more consultations I did with these people, I started thinking, okay, these people are dealing with like three main issues. There's physical issues, and they're having mental issues, and some of them are having financial issues too. And I started thinking of these things as like I started calling them the three pillars of stress. That was like my name for it, right?
Absolutely.
Emotional stress, physical stress, financial stress. And, if you think about it, those are really the three major areas that all of us probably have issues with from time to time, right? One of
Absolutely.
those three. So,
So that's where you started at, and I just wanted to let you know, Nate just popped up. He says, "What's up, brother?" Lisa Marie, be careful, Lisa. She's got 60 haunted dolls in her house, so just be careful with that one. And I
Lisa,
can tell you right,
is she into the paranormal? And
very much. Lisa and Nate are. They were on the show last week, and we were talking about all the haunted dolls and stuff that she has. So stand by. That look, we might be able to talk to one of her haunted dolls about any financial planning that they have in the afterworld and
I don't have haunted
what they got.
dolls, but I admit I'm kind of intrigued by some of that paranormal stuff. So,
Oh, she's got new videos of them. So everybody go check out Lisa Marie. Lisa, drop the name of the site. I can't think of it right this second, but it's interesting that you say this. So I did 20 years in the Marine Corps, and one of the things we used to always talk about was look good, feel good. If you're in better physical shape, you have better mental health. Nate popping up here. Nate had more X's in his clothes than a porno film, and he's now down to a double XL at 260 from being well over almost 400 pounds. He's down
wow,
to 260.
wow,
He's like, I know he's dropped like somewhere around 140, 145.
good for
And him
him.
and I talk all the time. And one of the things he always says is, man, I went for a jog. Man, I feel better. When
Mhm,
we talk, he sounds happier.
mhm.
And it's very interesting that you called those your three pillars, because those are three things that if your head's not there, you're going to be down. If you're physically looking at yourself going, man, I used to be able to do this, I can't do that. And the same thing with your wallet. If you're looking at your wallet and like the old cartoons where they open the wallet and the moth goes flying out, if you're in those worlds. So as you're writing this book, and again, folks, if you're looking for Kyle's book, you can find it on Amazon. He also has his website, Kyle-Nichol, Nichol.com, and he spells Kyle, Kyle. You can find the book there. There's links for it. But oh yeah, and he beat sleep apnea too. I forgot about that for you, Nate, that he had the
Oh,
sleep
wow.
apnea. His doctor told him, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Figure it out,
Mhm,
lose the weight or die.
mhm.
But as you're writing this, and I can't imagine you're not reflecting on your own personal
Oh,
situations.
absolutely. Mm.
Um, what was probably in this? I don't know any other way to put it, but what was the biggest epiphany about yourself as you're writing this that you started to say, I see me and all these other things that are going on. This is what I see in myself. The biggest thing that came out of yourself as you're writing this.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me, and it's because you kind of nailed it. Writing the book was a way for me to talk about, and as I mentioned the bankruptcy feeling like it was failure, right? The mental illness, albeit that happened when I was younger, but I equated that to weakness. So I equated mental illness to weakness. I equated bankruptcy to failure. Writing the book, I think, the more I think about it, the more it was a way for me to say, you know what, that stuff's okay. You got through that, and now you're to a point where you're comfortable enough to not only write about it, but to put it out on the street, put it up on Amazon, um, and and so it was a way for me to get comfortable with those things, and not only that, feel comfortable and having a desire to help other people, because I know there are other people that are going through, whether they're emotional issues, whether they're having physical challenge, financial issues. But you mentioned something earlier, Sean, and I've been on. It's interesting. I was on a podcast. What is today?
Today's Thursday.
Today is Thursday. Earlier in the week, and I've been on a few podcasts, and a lot of people have yet to really, they want to understand this idea between mind, body, and money. Like you said, most people can understand the connection, right? You said look good, feel good.
Feel good, right.
Most people can get that connection between those two things. If you're feeling good about yourself physically, you're going to feel good about yourself emotionally. But financially, you think about it, in my opinion, if one of those things, your emotional health, your mental health, or your financial health, if one of those things isn't being taken care of, there's a good chance one of the other things
absolutely
is falling short as well, right? You just said it. If you don't feel good about yourself, that's going to trickle down through your job, through your work performance, your ability to earn money. So they all go together. They all
have to play nice in the sandbox.
Absolutely.
No, I absolutely can see that, because if you think about it, I've never known a broke dude that was like, look at me, I look phenomenal. But I've never, you know what I mean? They're never, about the only way I probably could equate the weight thing, or that was, that the old idea that people would get, gain a lot of weight to show wealth. You know what I mean? Like they would get big and hefty, but today we would never say that.
Right.
And Nate, you were absolutely correct. Being on my travels, I do not have my rye whiskey in my hand. I do look a little lost without it. You are absolutely correct. But I get it completely. So what are some of the things that in the book that, and again, folks, the book's Mind, Body, Money, Amazon, Kyle-Nichols.com, you can find it. But what are some of the things that you hope people can take from it, or lessons that you're trying to imbue to folks?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I do provide in the book is a daily routine. I'm a big, and you can probably relate to this. You were in the Marines. I've always been a big fan of structure,
100%,
and routine. It's just I now, don't get me wrong. I mean, a lot of people might equate that to being a dull, boring type person. I don't consider myself a dull, boring person, but I do. I just like being in a routine.
100%.
I'm the type of guy who's up at 5:30 in the morning, work out in the morning, get a ton of stuff done in the morning, and then I got the rest of the day to do whatever I have to do. So one of the things that I put out in the book is really a simple daily routine that people can use, and it only takes literally 50 minutes to address physical health, emotional health, and financial health. Now, it sounds crazy, right? You're like, 50 minutes. I mean, this sounds but no, it's really the thing is, people don't take the time to focus on these three things because it seems like it's such an overwhelming topic, right? Emotional health, physical health, financial health. But what I've done, I've taken my own experience and what I do every day, and I've kind of boiled that down into a daily routine that I think will benefit a lot of people. So,
So what are 50 minutes? Well, let's break that down. I ain't trying to give away the book here, folks, but I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it out of Kyle here. So
yeah,
what are something each category? So we got the mind, body, money. What
yeah.
is one thing in each of those categories that we can do in the morning? Because I know, like for me, I like to get up in the morning. I I have, it's a mental thing for me. I have to brush my teeth first thing in the morning. I cannot do
Yeah,
anything in my life until that is done.
yeah,
And then I do yoga stretches
yeah.
because I've got some back issues and that
Mhm,
I learned that worked for me.
mhm,
And then I do push-ups. I
mhm.
do a max set of push-ups, one set. I'm not my days of the Marine Corps is over. I don't have to do much more than that. But that to me, and it's funny, completing that task is a mental victory in completing the push-ups. Being able to say, well, I can still do this amount at 46 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And there's guys in way better shape at my age, but I'm not Tom Brady. It's okay. I don't also make billions of dollars and have personal trainers like Kyle in my life to make sure I'm doing what I need to do. So I know for me, those are my kind of things to get ready.
Yeah, yeah.
What kind of, what are three things that you could hand to somebody and say, do this, this, and this just to get the ball rolling?
Yeah, let me say this, Sean. What you do in the morning with that max set of push-ups, you're probably doing more than half of the country is in the morning. Okay, it's so yeah, trust me. And that's speaking from experience, having trained clients for 20 years. But um, so for me, my most of my life, I I've spent, on the physical side, physical health, right? The sports, the working out, the bodybuilding, everything else. And it was only until about 3 years ago, honestly, that I started deep breathing.
Okay.
And it's something that I always knew about. I always knew the benefits of it, but I always thought to myself, yeah, I'm good. I don't need that. But so I started doing about 10 to 15 minutes of deep breathing every day. And I can almost, the only time I really sometimes don't do it is when I'm traveling. Like, it was kind of funny, you're in a hotel. We were almost both going to be in a hotel this week because I just got back from Atlanta. So, I would have been in a hotel as well. But so, deep breathing for your emotional and for your
Oh,
mental.
for mental health, really?
Yeah, some people, the meditation. Um, so 5 to 10 minutes of deep breathing a day. It it is truly, if your listeners have never done it before, I would highly, even if you started, literally, you can feel the benefits after 1 minute of deep breathing. Just go somewhere in your house, go in your room, close the door, quiet, sit on your bed, sit in a chair, lay on the floor, lay on the bed, and just breathe for one
Intentionally.
intention.
Intentionally.
Yeah. So a good analogy, again, you were in the Marines, from what I've heard, and this is the breathing that I do. I do a deep breathing, which is a 5-5-5 pattern. So it's a inhale for 5 seconds, hold for 5 seconds, exhale for 5 seconds. So it's a 15-second deep breathing interval. And apparently the Navy SEALs, that's like their core.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, when they're in like a stressful situation, that's what they're trained to do. Is that it's called box breathing.
Okay.
So it's 5-5-5. So, and there are a lot of deep breathing apps that kind of have a recorded voice and they kind of guide you through it. So it's inhale, hold, exhale, hold, inhale, hold. So
You see, now I do the yoga breathing, which is
yeah,
more of an inhale, and they talk about feeling the breath swirling in the back of your throat
yeah,
as you're breathing in, and then as you exhale loud.
yeah.
Now,
Okay.
like the idea is not to just be like, it's more of
Right,
like this hard, like
right,
you want to hear
right.
yourself doing it. And God, I think we talked this. I mean, we're getting ready soon. We got to close the bar up here. We're already. I didn't even realize what time it was. We're already at this point. And Nate,
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. Martial arts training teaches a lot of breathing. So
yeah.
we can. So one thing is we can definitely do the breathing, and that's again, you're talking. That's from a time standpoint. That's nothing. I promise you, most of you pick up your cell phone first thing in the morning, and who liked my post over the middle of the night,
Yeah.
who texted me while I was sleeping. How about no? So, and that's actually a combo. I mean, it's a mental thing and a physical thing.
Mhm.
What would be one thing from another physical thing somebody could do to help kind of get that ball rolling?
Yeah, I mean, it's generally recognized that, 30 minutes of some type of physical exercise a day is pretty well established as a good benchmark for people to reach. So, if you're somebody who's not accustomed to exercising, Sean, you do those push-ups. I mean, that takes you next to no time at
Oh
all,
God, it's less than 2 minutes. Right
right?
now, I'm up to 40 at this
Yeah.
point.
So push-ups. If you're not strong enough to do a full push-up, you do the knee push-ups from the knees, right? Um, get, you know, take a 30-minute walk. It's nothing. It's not. I'm not prescribing. Go hit the gym
Right.
for 45, 50 minutes of high intensity, compound weightlifting. That's not it. It's doing something to take care of your physical health. And there are a lot of things that you can do for 30 minutes a day that will benefit you physically. Okay. So, that's sort of the physical health component. Um, Taking care of your mental health, your emotional health via, you said yoga. That's awesome. Deep breathing I'm a big fan of that. Meditation, um, you know, um, and on the money side, I mean, I'm a big advocate of working off of a budget. I have a very strict budget that I work off of every month. Um, and I can trace that all the way back to the bankruptcy. That all started, and I can remember the day, and I know we're kind of winding down here, but I kind of mention it in the book. After that bankruptcy got discharged, and I got the final papers for that bankruptcy being discharged. And I remember being here at the house one day, sitting on the couch, and I literally said to myself, I have got to get better control of my money.
It was an eye opener.
It literally was. I'm like, I have got to get better control. I need to get better control of where my money's going every time I get paid. So,
Well, what were some of the things that because there's a million TikToks that tell you how to get your money together. There's another million Instagram pages that say, well, this is how you get your money together. And I think 9 times out of 10 of them, people listen to it and then they go, well, I could do that. And then they look at it and go, I need $10,000 to start doing that. I ain't got $10 in bus fare right now.
Right.
Is there anything from that standpoint? And I call it realistic money.
Yeah.
Not this like, hey, so you can get this and you could do that. And that ain't how this works. What are some of the realistic things that you would say, hey, start here with the money?
Yeah. I firmly believe that, getting ahead with money and getting more control of your money is 80% a behavioral thing and 20% a financial thing. Now, don't get me wrong. I know there are a lot of people out there, who, they're having a tough time, especially over the last couple of years. There are ways to make money. Okay. There are ways to get, I worked at one point, I was working, a full-time job, and I was training 2 or 3 clients in their homes on the side, just to kind of dig myself out from the divorce and everything else. So, but, a lot of the time our behaviors with money are what put us in a bad position with money. Not so much the amount of money that we are making or not making. It's what we do with the money that we are making that gets us into trouble 9 times out of 10. So, I just believe that, if you can learn to change your behavior with money, you can start getting ahead with money.
What's the idea that you have to control it, not it control you, and the impulse buying and the impulse spending?
Absolutely.
I think we're all most people know I bought a franchise. I own my own business now, and there's so many things within what you're saying that are so important. But something you just said, and it really kind of clicked in my head, the impulse. We were talking about, I'll ask in a second here, Nate. We were just talking today that in my industry of window coverings, that if somebody calls you and you don't respond to them within 5 minutes, they have moved on to somebody else. It is you are 100 times more likely to get an opportunity to present to a client if you respond to them in 5 minutes. It drops down to 20% if it's between 5 and 10 minutes. It's that instant gratification culture, even down to appointments. We were talking about it today, and one of the instructors is like, you're going to get busy. You're going to be putting people out 2 weeks. And in my head, from the industries I've worked in sales, that's like, you're out of your mind. 2 weeks to talk to somebody, that you'll never do that. And in my head, I'm like, I'll hire a second salesperson before I wait 2 weeks.
It was, trust me, Sean, it was the exact same thing with my training studios. If we didn't jump on them, so to speak,
right? Yeah.
When they first called, guess what?
On to the next one.
They were going somewhere else. I mean, we're talking, health and fitness is one of the most competitive industries out there. If you don't get them when they're hot, they are going to go somewhere else. So
I get it completely. We got to ask Nate's question. This is a very important question. Nate makes sure that he has very important things for us. What is your favorite cheat meal?
What's my favorite cheat? Well, here's the thing, I'm pretty regimented with what I eat 5 days a week. And then it's funny, I just wrote an article. I do some writing for this. It's called medium.com. People can find me over on medium.com as well. So I do some writing over there. But I wrote an article about, and this is a whole nother topic, but I wrote an article about how I pretty much eat the same thing, the same 2 or 3 things during the week. And it just benefits me. It all goes back to that structure. It all goes back to that routine. That's just how I'm wired. And there's a lot of benefits that I've found eating the same thing during the week, right? Financially, time wise,
Yeah.
everything else. But on the weekends, I let myself go. And believe me, I can eat. And I love,
What's the go-to though?
I'd
It's
have
gotta
to,
be
yeah, I'd have to say probably some type of Italian, some type of pasta,
pasta.
you
You were
know.
just in one of my favorite pizza cities. If you were in Atlanta,
Oh, Atlanta. Okay.
I will put up. Everybody likes to talk about all the port. What is it? I think it's like Portland or somebody. They're like at all their pizza, New York State. I promise you, Antica Pizza in Atlanta, Georgia. I
Antigua.
will put Antica Pizza in Atlanta, Georgia. I will put up against some of the best pizza in the world. The travel magazines always rank it in the top 10 in the United States. And people are like, Atlanta for pizza? I'm like,
Yeah.
listen to me. I will tell you Atlanta for food. You ever had a Scotch egg? Do you know what a Scotch egg is?
Yeah, you know what? I think I have. Is it related to a deviled egg? So
Kind of. It's a hard boiled egg
okay.
wrapped in sausage and then deep fried.
Oh, then no, no, no. Okay.
Listen to me. There's a little chubby kid that lives in my soul. Hard boiled egg wrapped in sausage and then deep fried and then served with like a sauce, like a dipping sauce.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So we got to get ready to close things up. So again, you can find Kyle on uh, Kyle-Nichols.com. That's KYLE-NICHOL.com. You can find him on Amazon. You can find his book, Mind, Body, Money.
If you
Uh,
search, all you got to do is search for my name, Kyle Nicol, on Amazon, and it pops up.
He's on LinkedIn. Also, you can find him over there. You can find his fan page on Facebook. He's got an Instagram page. I don't know if he got an OnlyFans and a Foot Finder page, but I mean, he might.
Not
We
there,
all got to make money somehow.
not there yet.
But Miss Cody, how are you? It's been a long time since I saw you. Want to talk about the traveling spirit? This is my traveling spirit, Cody. Every time I turn around, she's in another country doing some transcendental dancing. She's always moving. She is
Hi,
my
Cody.
traveling spirit right there. And Nate's over here giving me updates. Bryce Young's gone to the Panthers and CJ Stroud to Houston. He's giving me my NFL
Oh,
update.
Stroud went to Houston.
Yeah. Look,
Okay,
yeah.
I
I
forgot
told
it's a
you.
draft tonight. Okay.
Look, there it is. Just got back from Costa Rica. Woo woo.
Oh
I told you
wow.
there you go, Kyle. She gave you a high also. So look, folks, go follow Kyle. Go find Kyle's stuff. This is I believe exactly what he's saying. These are the three modern pillars of modern life. If your mental health, financial health, and physical health are not tied together and you don't think about it in those ways, they will fall and so will you. You got to think about these things. Um, if you found Kyle through me, he's going to appreciate it. And if you found me through Kyle, look, give us a like, follow, share. It might sound like something out of one of those kids' videos on YouTube. Like, follow, share, subscribe. Listen, when you go on to whatever podcast app you're listening to, whether it be in Facebook and you give us a follow, or you go over on to Apple, which I really appreciate when people go to Apple and you give us a 5-star rating and you leave a comment, that pushes things. That's how people find Kyle. That's how people find us. Those algorithms, like them or not, believe in them. Look at that. She always finds new friends. That's my Cody. Any of those things, you go out and you do those things. That's how we're all found. That's how we all grow. That's how these things get better every single day. So please like, follow, share, and don't forget sticker in the calls. If you got something going on, reach out to me. Let me know. Send me that sticker. We'll get you read on here. Now, Kyle, I know again we talked about this beforehand. You listened to all 175 episodes in a row in mental preparation for this, which means you know exactly what I'm about to ask you here in a moment. You know exactly what's coming. There's no way you could be. I know you're going to be surprised because everybody's always surprised. The guest always gets the final word. So, what's the final word, Kyle?
Yeah, the final word is, just take care of yourselves. Take care of yourselves physically, take care of yourselves emotionally, take care of yourselves financially, because nobody else is going to do it. Nobody
Right.
else is going to give you the time to do it. You've got to take the time and make the time to do it.
Alrighty, folks, be sure to push your stool in.
This has been an Earplug Podcast presentation, found on earplugpodcast.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and wherever your favorite podcasts are found.